Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Truth, lies, shenanigans. 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 Tune in to TLS. Yeah, tune in to TLS. It's the TLS show. Coming to you live from the TLS show.
Hey, welcome to Truth, Lies, Shenanigans podcast. Social commentary, hot topics, amazing guests with a ton of fun and shenanigans along the way. This week's podcast, it's Black History Month. We're celebrating Black excellence, and our guest today is the founder of the Black Voices Project, Dr. Rochelle Thompson. She'll share with us her amazing personal story, tell us about her nonprofit, and we'll ask her how she feels about the growing amount of youth crime in her community and mine, the Washington, D.C. area. Also, we have a few hot topics to discuss. We're talking about that Chinese balloon that was floating around the U.S. Then DeSantis' Florida wants to track teen girls' menstrual cycle. And we'll find out what China's social credit system is all about. Before we get into the podcast, let me introduce you to my co-host. First up, college student, model, business owner, streaming from Atlanta, Georgia, Miss Gianni Storm.
Hey guys, I hope you have had a great week. This week went by very fast. I don't know about you, but my week went by so fast. I feel like I could blink and February will be gone.
February, yeah.
Next Sunday, look forward to going to. Yeah, I look for my cousin's in Kentucky next Sunday. This will be the first time that I have seen family in years, so I'm really excited about that.
That's wonderful.
So when are you going to Kentucky?
Next Sunday.
Oh, amazing. Good for you.
Yeah. Seems like there's a little
you guys
delay
able
with
to hear
Gianni.
me?
We
It's
hear you, but there seems like there's a slight delay,
Yeah.
Gianni.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Seems like there's a
Okay.
delay going on, so hopefully we'll get that fixed. All right. Next up, we have our nature lover, gamer, rock star coming to you from Ontario, Canada, Mr. Robbie Rock.
What's up, my friends? Man, it was a cold week up here. So temperatures dropped to about the minus 40 Celsius range. And for those of you tuning in from the States, that's the same, minus 40 Fahrenheit. But luckily, that's past us now. So if you can believe this, the forecast is calling for rain on Tuesday. So what are you going to do except just roll with it, right?
That's
So-
true. So you're actually going to get
Speaking
some
of
rain for once.
Man, yeah, I think we had some rain in December also. Yes, when I was building the snow fort, we absolutely had some rain.
So
But,
does that make it like firmer? Is that what it does? It like ices it up?
Yeah, it definitely makes it denser and it definitely ices it up. Oh, yeah. But during the cold snap, I managed to get out one evening and do the Arctic Chill Challenge again this year. So this is where you toss boiling water into the
Oh,
Arctic chilled air.
Wow.
So yeah, the energy
Yes.
exchange between the
I see
water
it on
and the air at those
TikTok.
temperatures is really impressive. I did post one in the YouTube Shorts section of our YouTube page. So yeah, check it out.
TLSshow.com. Check it out on TLSshow.com on the shorts.
Nice.
All right, and I am your host, Neo Nix. So I wanted to talk about, I started collecting comic books again.
Sweet.
Yeah, there's this new comic
My
book
brother
store that
does
opened
that.
near my house called Third Eye Comics in College Park. And I went in like a few days ago and I was like, let me just see what it is. And then I was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, what? It was like so much. Like I used to collect
Right.
comics like years ago. You know, I had the first Spawn.
Oh,
I-
So
yeah, I
are
was
you
gonna ask what
collecting
kind of
new
comic.
stuff? Are you collecting old stuff? Are you buying individual issues? Or are you buying compendiums?
I think I'm going to start with new stuff. I don't, you know,
Okay.
So
Okay.
like I said, I had some old stuff. I used to have some old stuff. I had like the first Spawn, the Death of Superman. I had the one where Bane broke Batman's back, and the one where Joker
breaks the
killed
back.
Robin. I mean, those are like classics. But then when I went off to
Classic, yeah.
college, moved out of my house, and then my family ended up moving, we lost track of all those comic books, and I have no idea where they are. I
Oh,
mean,
no.
yeah, and they're like worth a lot now.
Mm,
They'll
I mean,
probably
especially with
show
all
up.
the
They're probably
movies and stuff.
dug in somewhere.
Yeah.
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 But okay, but it's Black History Month, and so I started collecting these titles with black characters. Like there's this one by Image Comics called Flawed.
That looks familiar.
Yeah, so it's like a
It looks like Rising.
yeah, so she's actually a psychiatrist and then by day, and then she's like a vigilante at night. Then you got like Eve. It's like a little
What?
girl with her AI teddy bear, and she like saves the world after a virus or something. And then
Wow.
this one I'm excited about right here.
Ooh,
Bloodline, the daughter of
Daughter of
Blade.
Blade.
Yes.
nice.
So and
That's
there's like a
actually
lot
pretty
of
cool.
awesome black titles
Very
out there. And then
nice.
Black Adam is actually black. Look at that.
What? They made him Egyptian?
I know, right? Yeah, but
You're tapping into your inner creativity.
yeah, I don't know. I'm excited now. I'm excited. I'm going to do comic books again. So
Yeah.
all right.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I've never really stopped.
Tell us
and
how it
now
goes,
That's it.
yeah.
I just buy the collections. I buy the compendiums because it's there.
Yeah.
Don't have to buy a single issue, and I've got the entire story. That's what I like.
I usually I don't know. I used to do that. I would do that occasionally, but I don't know. I like the individual issues, the collecting, the like this is 412, and then I
Yeah.
have let's see, the other one over here. I'm just collecting. Whereas
They look so nice. It's like artwork.
I know,
It's
right?
beautiful.
Oh yes. And that's what's impressive,
Very
Johnny, is it comic books are totally underrated, but some of the biggest movies being generated out there are based off of the stories done in
Yeah.
comic books. And the artists are consistent
Yes.
panel by panel by panel.
Yeah.
It's totally underrated as far as an artistic and creative
Yes,
medium.
that's true.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, looks we got some
Eartha
comments online.
Kitt.
Does anyone remember Eartha Kitt portrayed Catwoman in the Batman series? I actually remember that. I actually remember that. She was awesome too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, she was probably my favorite Catwoman of all time.
She did great.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get
Not
in-
Holly.
What?
Oh
Did
God!
you just
Don't even
say?
talk about that.
Oh my God!
Don't even talk about
Did you
that.
just say Halle Berry's Catwoman? Oh my God! Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to wait. Hold on. Wait,
Next thing.
oh yeah. Oh, that's the wrong one. Damn, I'm all messed
Oh no,
up.
he's throwing all kinds of graphics.
Yeah,
on
you
us
done messed
now.
me all up. You messed all my graphics.
I threw
That's
you
funny.
off. Sorry.
Yeah, but no,
That's very funny.
I gotta mute you, man. Talk about some Halle Berry. All right, let's go ahead and get into the show. All right, so it's Black History Month, and today our guest is Dr. Rochelle Thompson. She's a clinical psychologist and CEO of the RM Thompson and Company, which she describes as a place that provides psychological safety. And she says her gift is in making complex psychological concepts accessible and actionable so that her clients achieve sustainable change. She's also a published author and speaker. She inspires over 15,000 people weekly through her blog and social media platforms. And she has some signature courses. On top of all of that, she is the president and founder of the Black Voice Project, a nonprofit where she
Nice.
advocates for people in her community in the Washington, D.C. area. She's a proud mother of
Yes.
4 beautiful children. So please welcome Dr. Rochelle. Dr.
Yay.
Thompson, welcome to
Hey,
the
Dr.
show.
T.
How are you?
Hey, I just wanted to get in on the comic stuff. Like I was over here talking to myself, like I
Nerding out.
So you collect comics too?
I'm into the Marvel characters as of late, but I
Mhm.
just love my son
Oh,
does, so I
yes.
just love like kind of getting into it, and then and I saw you holding up like the black characters, and I'm like, yes,
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, they're so
around here.
I was actually surprised how many new black characters are. They're really making a big deal about making black characters in comics now, and so I'm just
That's
excited to
true.
collect them all. I'm just
Just to be
Like
there.
Pokemon, collect
yeah,
them all.
collect them all. All right, so Dr. Thompson, you're actually a pretty Googleable person. So we have a question that we ask all of our guests. So I don't know how you can answer this question because there's a lot out there for about you. But the first question I have for you is: can you tell us something personal about you that we can't find on Google?
Yes, this question right here. My grandma called me Cece. My nickname is Cece, and so that happens to be
Oh,
my fake name that I give people that I don't really want them to know who I am. So I say my
Cece,
name is
that's your fake name.
really?
yes,
so so
Cece.
so dude comes up
Pleased
to
to
you in
You
the
meet you. I'm
always have a
club.
fake name.
Dude comes in the club. You don't want to talk to him. Hey, I'm Stacy.
Yeah, I'm
Exactly,
Cece.
right. Give them that name.
I'm looking for Cece.
We love it.
Oh, by the way,
Right.
Mars Lit 86 is online. Says, "Hey, Dr. T."
Hi.
Oh,
How
All
are
right.
you?
So this
nice.
spotlight that we're doing is all about Black excellence, and let me tell you, you are the epitome of Black excellence. Doctorate in psychology,
Yeah.
author, public speaker, social media influencer, president, CEO. I mean, you've had an amazing career already. So what I wanted to know, tell us what sparks that drive in you to achieve. Where does it come from? Was it like something that started with you as a child, or is it something that in later in life kind of put you in on this trajectory?
Yeah, as a kid, I just wanted to be the person. I think right now, today, I wanted to be the person that I needed when I was a kid.
Mm,
And so a lot of what
Mm.
I do now is just trying to make sure that I'm a living example, and offer resources to people to remind them that they're also a living example, that you have a choice. You sit at the seat of choice, that whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it. And so I have to be obviously a living, walking, epitome of what that is. And so that's where a lot of my drive comes from. And then a good portion of it is there were a lot of people that told me that I couldn't do a lot of things.
mm,
Being a single
Mm.
mom
I've
at
been
the
there.
age of 17, whoo,
Single
they
mom at
they left me
17.
17
Yeah, young.
at
Mm,
17. Yep.
Wow.
There was a lot of things that I was told that I couldn't do, that I wouldn't be able to do. That I wouldn't be able to go to college, that I wouldn't be able to finish school, that I would work a, regular job, making minimum wage, being on the system. And so I just didn't
Mm.
succumb to those lies, that
man,
people told me, and I'm just here now. So
with your
that's
doctorate,
where
I
my
Wow.
mean, you can't go to
Amazing.
school. Hey, no, you went beyond that.
yeah,
Yes, that's
yeah,
incredible
absolutely determined.
dedication. Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. It's important to not let people tell your story. And I was convinced that I wasn't going to let anybody tell mine.
Yeah, I love that.
So was that opposition or not? I guess it is opposition in a way. People trying to kind of say things against you. Was that kind of your motivating force, or did you find other ways to grow, find other ways to motivate yourself?
I realized that that negative place was really a toxic place to want to be successful.
Mm,
And so I've learned now
Okay.
how to find healthier places to operate in
Okay.
success. So when I first grew up, I was like, yeah, no, I can do it. I'm just using this as fuel. But as you like become older, you're like, this is not healthy. And like now the people around me are truly depending on me to win, because that's how they're winning. With my
Yes.
nonprofit, the Black Peace Project, this is actually, a family affair. My brother, my cousin, my dad are all a part of this organization wanting to give back. And a lot of how, I help them running with my payroll, you got to help people eat, is by being able to practice these things yourself,
mhm.
and so now it's from a much healthier place now that I
Yeah.
just kind of let this ambition kind of thrive. And I want to show my kids, like, there's no rules, you create them, and so
That's
it's really
amazing.
important.
Yeah.
My 4 kids looking at me, and I leave them with
Absolutely.
something to some legacy.
Now,
So, with
Absolutely.
the Black Boys Project, I've got a couple of questions because it seems to be a very integral operation. So, how did it come to be? How did you get involved? And what are the organization's long-term objectives?
Yes, in my Biggie Smalls voice, it was all a dream, right? So
I love it.
Yes.
literally started out as like a dream, like, and it's super weird. I can't even explain it to you. It was like, I need to do this myself. Like, I want my own nonprofit. Like, I did a lot of work in the community, and I would do a lot of different things, helping other nonprofits or helping other services, right? And so I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I can actually do this and actually pinpoint initiatives that are genuine to like my community. And so one of the initiatives that we have right now is the re-entering citizens program. So this is for individuals, kids, young adults, juveniles, if you will, and adults who go through the prison system, right? And then they come out and then they're trying to find a place to, work and get back land on their feet.
Mhm.
The reason why this
Their
was so
feet.
important to me was because we oftentimes see on piece of paper or the news clippings, right? We see those little 5-minute blogs, right, of what somebody's story is, but we never get to see the behind the scenes that led them up
Who
to
they
this
are.
point. And so a lot
Mhm.
of the
That's
work
true.
is about prevention, right? So some of this is prevention and getting into it. And we hear the same stories. If we go back to 1980s, African Americans, the BIPOC community, the same stories. Jobs was one, housing was another,
Yes. Housing.
food insecurity. It's constant, and so now we're still in the same, almost very similar, the same space that we were in back then,
Mhm.
right? And so we have all of these resources. And so I just wanted to be a part of the change. And that's where the Black Boys Project came from. Like, I'm tired of hearing the same story. So 2021, 2022, 2023, this is our year. And so a lot
Yes.
of my long-term goals for the organization is, number one, making sure that the youth in the Washington, D.C. metro area have a place where they feel safe to talk about some of their challenges and issues, but also it's a combined effort with all of the programs that we offer in Washington, D.C. to make sure that we're sustainable in keeping our kids off of the streets and having to succumb to that lifestyle, right? And so right now, I would say roughly 32% of youth are generally getting arrested for larceny and theft. We know that there is a heightened, now more than ever, mental health issue because of aggression with
Yes.
youth who had to stay. COVID, a lot of that had to do with COVID, right? But in general, when you see people who are living in areas that have not been paid attention to for such a long time, you see them increasingly get more aggressive or increasingly succumb to violence. That's just their choice, right? That
Mhm.
they have that's their
Yeah.
only choice, if you
Yeah.
will, because we're not
Yes.
exposed to those same opportunities. And so a lot about the Black Voice Project is about exposure, showing you that you can have different choices and providing you with the resources to do so.
I love that. So online we
Very
have
nice.
Mars Lit 86 says dope Dr. T. Von J is on YouTube saying Black excellence. Wow. Um,
Thank you.
and then Serenity Santos says, hey DJ.
Okay.
Hey, Dave.
Aw.
Or Deej, I guess. All right.
Sage?
All right. So, I mean, you brought up the
Diversity.
youth. You brought up the youth, and TLS Truth Lies Shenanigans is all about social commentary, and you're from the Washington area also. So, I want to get your thoughts on a big story in the Washington area, right? The murder of Karan Blake. We talked about this a few weeks back on our podcast, back when it first happened. But since you're so directly involved in the community, I'd like to know your thoughts. One, on the allegations that Karan was stealing cars, and of course the growing number of Black youths in the area involved in those type of thefts and carjackings. And then what do you think is behind that? And then I had a second part to the question, but I'll ask you after that.
Again, I think, parenting is really important. It's really
Mm.
important. And so, not to blame, this isn't to blame anyone directly, but y- we have got to be mindful that it is very stressful and very difficult as a single parent to raise children. From
Mm.
what I understand about the parent of Quran was that he was essentially, a result of a single parent household, if you will, from what I've seen in the interviews.
Fortunate.
And I can't imagine the struggle of balance of time and energy that the mom was trying to find with, raising her family. And I don't want to speak too much on her personal life, but
Right.
I can speak to say that it's very difficult personally. I know what it's like to be 17, 18 with a kid, a little boy, and trying to balance with work, trying to pay the bills, trying to put food on the table. And you don't really get a whole lot of, and trying to deal with your own mental health, right? And healing and whatever it is that
Yeah.
you had to go through.
Yeah.
So I think having a community, like a support system, is so important.
Yeah.
So that's one
Yes.
avenue I think, that we have to really pay attention to, making sure that we have enough resources for parents,
And is that
especially
something
if
that's
there's,
really missing in the Black community, you'd say, especially in DC area?
yeah. I'm sorry, I saw a comment on there. I believe
Yeah.
mental health is woven in anything. So I'm super biased with mental health. Anything that I say is always going to kind of come down to what that looks like, right?
Really
And so
makes
I
sense.
think that when we do not tackle the mental health part of everything that we
Root.
do, whether it's work, yeah, the root of the issue, essentially we're just putting a band-aid on the problem, right? We're not really dealing with the
Yeah.
symptom because it all starts in our minds, and so I think, I don't know why he was out there.
Yeah,
I know he didn't deserve
13-year-old
to.
stealing cars. I mean, he was. I mean, there's video of him trying to steal cars. So even though it's alleged, that's what he was doing, and it still feels like it's a problem, particularly in our area of youths being targeted as a means to these car rings and stuff like that. Yeah, and I
It's
guess you're right.
every
Single parents.
Everything that we hear, mental health is important, but everything we hear about our kids though now, like on most places, is
Mhm.
really that they're thugs, they're terrorists.
I know.
This is the message that the media is putting out there about our youth. We don't highlight enough or expose enough of what our kids are doing. Some of the positive things, and we don't really talk too much. The media primarily doesn't talk too much about some of the positive programs that are happening, and actually hosting or talking about some of the outreach that a lot of organizations besides myself are doing, so that way we can
That's
actually
true.
get kids connect. So when we hear these things, I can imagine being 14, 15, 16, 17 and such, and every time I turn on my TV or the radio or social media, I'm being labeled as a thug, I'm being labeled
Mhm.
as, like a lost generation, I'm being labeled as, we just are
Yeah.
misguided youth. I can't imagine what that does for a mindset of someone that's under 20, who hasn't fully developed all of their cognitive, executive functioning skills yet.
And
Right.
that's
I'm
the
just going
thing.
to be a part of the problem now. I'm just
I-
going to be it. So if I don't hear it in my house, and then I hear negative things on social media and the outlet, then of course I'm going to succumb to doing things that I'm not supposed to do, because that's what people say I am anyway.
And the justice system wants to treat
Mhm.
these
Right.
children as adults. I mean,
Yeah.
they don't have the cognitive abilities to make some of these decisions, and they're following examples. So do you think
Yeah.
that the guy Jason Lewis is the one who was arrested finally for Ron's death shooting? Do you think his
Mhm.
arrest was justified?
Listen, murder is murder.
Mhm.
There's no way to really twist
Mhm.
that, right? And so I think the judicial system is going to do what it needs to do with looking at all of the circumstances of the case, and then determine whether or not, you know, uh, how he should be charged. I think that the community is suffering from a really big issue of trauma. I mean, we see all of the time on the news as well, another form of, just kids guns blazing out, and we hear stories all the time, under 25, children with guns. So there is a heightened sense of trauma in the community right now. And so I don't feel protected by the police. I'm going to take matters into my own hands. And so, again, I think the judicial system has to play out, but murder is murder. Um, and somebody has to be, there's consequences for your actions
Yeah,
every day of the week. So it's unfortunate. It's a
And
really sad situation, but I'd love to see how this is going to play out.
me too. Yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I
I
think that I think he finally should have been charged because this is like vigilante justice. I mean, he's a 13-year-old kid. I mean, there's reports that he was just yelling, "I'm just a kid" as he was dying.
Wow.
Which is
God.
really sad. Um,
What?
so Jacqueline Robinson online says, "I'm so glad you mentioned parenting because it seems to be the missing component that no one wants to talk about. When I saw this young man's mom during her press conference, it infuriated me. You know, 13-year-old should be declared the man of the household.
I saw that too, and I commented in Ask Fox 5, they couldn't chop that thing up any better. Like, we didn't want to do any B rolls and just like voiceovers. I was really like alarmed that they were actually like that role the way that they did.
Yeah.
But parenting has always been a sensitive topic. You know, whenever you're out and about, right, you see some kid doing something crazy, you would not dare tell like the parent like how to raise their child, right?
Right.
So I myself even get a little bit worked up sometimes when somebody says, "Oh, your kid's shoes is on the wrong feet." And I'm like, "Mind your business," right? So that's like almost like a
And I would say that's a typical black mom response. I ain't gonna lie. That
Yeah.
might be every mom response, but I don't know. I've seen I see my black mom used to respond like that. So
visual, right? But we have to like that. We have to find a place of love. You know, in the world right now, we're missing like love. Like tough love is a thing, you know, and so
Yes.
love it.
it's translated better in the South. You know, in the South, it's more common that everybody looks out for each other,
Mhm.
and that you know you see someone's kid acting up, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna tell your mama, and no, Miss Johnson,
Mhm.
don't tell my
Yeah.
mama. You know, things happen cultures, right? But up north, primarily, you know, it's more or less, you know, we kind of get offended as a parent, especially, you know, in the African American community. Don't tell me how to raise my kid, like
Mhm.
because that automatically makes me feel inferior. It makes me feel like I'm already doing the best that I can. Number one, as a single parent. So then, by you reminding me that my kid's shoes is untied or they're on the wrong feet, it makes me feel a little insecure, and it makes me
Mhm.
feel like I'm not doing something that I'm supposed to do. So then I'm going to be on the defense, and my
Mhm.
only defense is to tell you to stay out my way and mind your business.
Mhm.
And I think we just have to do a better job of just understanding where people's intentions are coming from, and how that
Yes.
lands, you know, in the community. So we got to do a little bit better.
Since we're still on the topic of youth, one of the things I was able to Google about you was your childhood. So, can you tell, if it's okay with you, tell a little bit about your childhood? Because you didn't have it easy by any
Yeah.
stretch of the imagination.
No, I didn't actually. So I'm blessed that I have a grandmother that, you know, really came to my aid, you know, when I needed her. Because I didn't get a chance to live with my mom. I didn't get a chance to live with my dad. And it wasn't until I roughly came about 15 or 16 that I really had a relationship with my mom. And that hurt, you know, as a kid. And so I had to grow up being like the funny kid, or I'm always overcompensating. You know, a lot of the times growing up, I read the dictionary. So I try to be the smartest person in the
Aw.
class, right? Because maybe
Wow.
that might make my mom want to come to a graduation ceremony, or maybe that might, you know, I was second place in like a national spelling bee at one point. Maybe that would make her come out to an
Wow.
event like she said that she was going to, right? Or my dad, right? And so, while I've amended those relationships, and
That's
you know, my
amazing.
father is a part of my nonprofit now, and my mom and I, you know, we're definitely cordial and we talk, and we've, you know, kind of healed. It doesn't erase the fact that it hurts not growing up with your mom and your dad, or you see other siblings living with your parents, and you're like, well, I guess I wasn't good enough.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so it
Yeah.
was a little challenging. Was a little challenging, and then I moved around a little bit from the ages of roughly about when I was 15, 16. Went to a couple of different high schools. I played basketball, but that was even difficult in the ninth grade. Ninth, 10th grade year, I went to Suitland High School and I played basketball. And I actually was sexually assaulted
Oh
in
no.
the locker room.
Oh my
And,
God.
you know, response to my grandfather's response after that happened was that I needed to go to school. You know, and so I was a very angry teenager, but
Oh
no
my
one understood
goodness.
that
I bet.
time. It was just, you need to
Yes.
get up, you need to go to school. It's like I went through something very traumatic. So how could you say that? You know, so I grew up not feeling understood in that moment, and no one ever talked to me about it. No one ever said it's almost like it didn't happen, right? And so it was very challenging for me, and I was very, very angry. And so a lot of the way that I manifested anger was just to play basketball.
Mm,
A little
Right.
snappy, you know, from time to time as
I
a
bet.
teenager, but most and no one could understand it. It was just like, "Oh, she's being rebellious or she's being disrespectful," and it
Right.
was like, I'm just lashing out because no one ever had a conversation to tell me that these things are not supposed to happen, and no one ever made me really feel safe growing up. So
Wow.
Wow, you've done it.
yeah.
You had to work on those emotions on your own at that time, and you didn't know how to process that. So that's why you came across aggressive or
Mm.
snappy and
And is that what
Rebel.
drove you to psychology?
no, Dr.
No, the military drove me to psychology.
You were in the
The
military.
mil-
Oh,
yes, I
wow.
was. I'm sorry, that wasn't Google. I could have said that.
Sorry, Cece.
It probably was Google, but I didn't catch it.
Yes, I was in the United States
She
military.
said CC.
They told me that that was what I was going to do. And then by the time I had been taking classes and everything anyway, and so I had no intention of doing psychology, none whatsoever, by the way, none. I had imagined that I was going to just be rich. I don't know how I was going to get there, but I imagined I was going to play basketball and I was like going to get rich and all this. And it was just like a dream. But psychology was not intentional. Not until maybe I got into my master's program. And I was like, oh, okay. And the military is like, oh, you're pretty decent at this, you know? And so I was like, oh, okay.
I'm sure the military needs some good psychologists.
They did.
Ooh,
They did.
yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Quick comment online. We're running
That's-
out of time. Von J says, "You're so amazing. Made it out of the effing hood. Praise God and lead the people." And Mars Lit says, "Gifted 100%."
Oh, y'all are gonna make me
I have to ask, at what point did your anger pivot? What was the pivot point for you where that turned to compassion and love? Because you radiate it, and I know that this comes from your past experiences. Like, you've honed yourself into something that you were not brought up in. So I think that's just an amazing transformation, and I'm just curious, what was that pivot point for you?
You know, actually, my grandmother, who raised me primarily, she exhibited everything that like love looks like,
Oh, that's
compassion.
awesome.
She
Aw.
like I couldn't really understand it, you know, until I got a little older. I started to appreciate it a little bit more. And I always say, I want to be like her. Like I want to be like that. Like she seems so happy to be like compassionate and like caring and loving. Like, and she's
Yeah.
fulfilled that, right?
Mhm.
Like it's so unconditional. And I'm like, man, I aspire to be that way. And then when I would go to school, you know, you walk into school and you see these kids, like your peers, and like they're going into, you know, the same places you're going into. I remember going into 616 Morton Street. Okay, this is in Washington, D.C. It's the projects, so to speak. And you see these kids like, and you see like a guy that's like he peed on himself in the stairwell.
Mm.
People literally have to walk over him because he's like literally so high. He doesn't even know what's like going on. When you see something like
Wow.
that, you see that on your way to school. And then you see the guy still there, or then he may be walking up and down the street just looking for money or looking for help, or if you will. I was like, man, I don't ever want anybody to like. I always wanted to help him. Like I remember this guy distinctively. Like I wanted to help him, and I never wanted anybody to like feel that pain or like feel left behind or be treated as like nothing and just ignored. And so a lot of that just came from those experiences, seeing that, and it just still invokes me to this
Wow.
day. It's just like, and I don't ever want anybody to feel like that. I don't ever want anybody to feel ignored and, you know, just living with that anger because no one ever like that they were something. You know, I just imagine like life if my grandmother never told me that I could actually do anything that I wanted to do.
Yeah. Valiant Thorn
Yeah.
Wow,
on
Dr.
YouTube says mental health exclamation point. All right.
Yes.
So what are some
So
some
inspiring.
final words? We're out of time, unfortunately, but what do you want to tell the little black girls out there that maybe were once like you, struggling to find their place in this world, or those mothers that had huge dreams and find themselves still wanting and trying to achieve those goals? What are some final thoughts that you might have?
Yeah, you don't have to have a doctorate to change the world.
I love that.
Mm.
You don't be compelled by titles. Don't be compelled by people telling you that, you know, you're too old or you're too young or you just can't. I'm just a living, walking example that you can. And it would be selfish of you to have a purpose or gift and then you keep it to yourself because you're afraid that you actually are this negative thing. Like you're ready. It's your time. So whoever that little girl is, or whoever that, mom is, or whoever that person is, it's your time right now. It's something that's been like pushing you to the limit, that you've been constantly circling around wanting to do, and you just constantly talked yourself out of it. And I just wanted to speak to that person today and say, go ahead and do it, just like Nike.
Yes.
You can change the world. We're waiting on you. We've been waiting on you. And so that would be the message today.
I love that message.
Love
All
that.
right. Unfortunately, again, we're out of time. So can you let everyone know where they can find you, where we can catch up with you and see you online?
Yes, please follow me on Instagram at Dr. Thompson with the P. You can also follow the Black Voice Project. We need followers. So at the Black Voice Project DMV.
Amazing
We also,
project.
yes, it's love. We need volunteers. So please, you can donate as well if you just don't have the time to come out. www.theblackvoiceproject.com. If you're looking for some mental health services, we're lit over here at RM Thompson & Co. So you can go to www.RochelleThompson.com. Yes, authentic spaces. And you can also just, again, reach out to me via email, info@RochelleMThompson.com or Rochelle@theblackvoiceproject.com. I am around.
Dr. Rochelle
You're
Thompson.
everywhere.
Thank you so much. You are the epitome of Black excellence, and we really do appreciate you joining us.
Thank you. I'm so
Thank you.
honored.
Thank you so much. Wow. What an amazing guest she
Wow.
was, huh?
Inspiring. Very, very inspiring.
Yeah. I got to admit, I am
I
inspired
had
myself.
another question I wanted to ask her, but my internet or something is lagging a little bit, so
Going slow.
I didn't get the chance.
What was your
I'll have
question?
to hit her up.
What was your
I
question?
wanted to know if she is still listening. I kind of wanted to know how to break into doing a nonprofit or starting a nonprofit.
Mm.
But for similar and different reasons, but just for anybody who wants to be, creating their own nonprofit, what kind of like resources or advice she has
That's a good
available for
question.
that.
Yeah, definitely. So maybe she'll put it in the online, or maybe you can reach out to her after.
Reach out to her. Yes, exactly.
All right. Get on her Instagram.
Absolutely.
I'm sure she'll answer you. All right. Let's go ahead and get into our hot topics.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
All right, Robbie, China floated a weather balloon across the U.S. Tell us what happened.
It's been a crazy week overheads, hasn't it? So yes, earlier in the week, U.S. defense officials identified a balloon high above sensitive areas, and it was in fact a high-altitude surveillance device. But the object flew over Alaska, through Canada, before appearing over the city of Billings in Montana on Wednesday. Now, the reason why that's significant is because, well, you have nuclear missile silos in Montana. So significant that you've got a foreign device up there. So China's
Ironic.
foreign ministry said that it was used for mainly meteorological purposes, a weather balloon, and that they regretted the unintended entry of the balloon into U.S. airspace, and that it had been blown off course by unexpected winds. So the balloon was eventually shot down, but it took multiple fighter jets and refueling aircraft in order to pop the balloon. But only one, it was an F-22 fighter jet that took the shot, and they had to take it down with a missile. So my
What?
question to you, my friends, do you believe that China's high-altitude surveillance balloon is mainly meteorological or something more sinister?
Well, we know it's bull. I'm sorry, Rob. I know you don't want me to cuss. We know it's bull.
Yeah, we do.
Because there's no question. I mean, matter of fact, the U.S. officials were saying that it was for surveillance. But I don't understand why it took them so long to knock it down. I mean, because they saw it over a week ago in Alaska and knew it was coming, and then I guess
wow.
apparently President Biden wasn't made aware until Tuesday when it was over Montana, and everybody was making a big deal about it. I mean, as soon as I saw that thing, I would have tried to do something, because obviously it's over U.S. airspace. It needed to go. What were you gonna say, Johnny?
Yeah, but what if they would have like shot at it or did that without knowing, like just acting on impulse, and it would have been like some nuclear, I'm exaggerating, but it could have been some like ginormous explosion. Who knows? But I think
So
it's
you have
interesting though. My friend and I were actually just talking about seeing in news articles a possible war between the US and China in the making. And I just seeing this article, I'm like, it's not far-fetched. It's and people have been doing things like this, like balloons as spyware or spy infrastructure forever. This is not hard to believe. I believe that they
it's
definitely were spying on us.
Oh, there's no question.
balloons are the
Or
oldest
sending
form
a
of
message.
surveillance.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yes.
right, Johnny? Sending a message. And Neo, I mean, as far as, why didn't you do something right away? These balloons are incredible. They're incredibly engineered devices. Now, the surveillance balloons typically fly 80,000 to 120,000 feet up in the atmosphere.
Mhm.
An F-22 has an operating altitude of around 65,000 feet. So, dude, you can't even put a plane close to these things when they're operating properly. So to
Wow.
shoot one down is an endeavor, and it's not
Difficult.
like they sent up one plane to take it out. They had multiple planes and refueling planes involved in the operation because it's so hard to get that one shot. When I looked into this, I found out that in 1998, Canada had its own rogue balloon problem. It was the instruments didn't deploy, the backup systems didn't deploy, so the balloon was basically swept off the coast and found its way into the British airways. But what was crazy was 2 Canadian CF-18s were deployed, and they managed to put over 1,000 rounds into this weather balloon, and it didn't come down
Wow.
because, Johnny, these balloons they can be up to 40 million cubic feet in size. So that's
They're
up to
huge.
195 Goodyear GT blimps.
They're huge.
So,
They're gigantic.
Lies.
to think that you're going to put a couple of bullet holes in it and that it's going to float
What?
down is ridiculous. It's like opening a small window and saying, we're going to air out this warehouse. Going to take some time, son. These machines are massive. So to shoot one down is an endeavor, and it wasn't cheap to take that balloon down.
Huh? Well, you spend the expense. I mean, you just can't. You can't afford. You can't afford spying. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And they didn't want to
My
take it
thing
down
is-
over Montana for fear of the debris. that,
Montana's
would
like
come
the
raining
best
down
place
too.
to take it down. There's like
That's the
nothing
best
there.
place. If
I mean, outside of
anywhere
the
is
ocean where they
Montana.
finally took it down off the coast of North Carolina or something. I mean, outside of the ocean, this is the second best
They
place
always
to
wanna
take it
wait.
down.
Yeah.
Maybe the third
yeah,
best. I mean, maybe the Sahara Desert might have been the best place, but I'm just saying.
Then it wouldn't be your
think it-
problem.
No, but I think that is interesting. In the article, one of the China experts mentioned that it says they have other means to spy out American infrastructure or whatever information they wanted to
No.
obtain. The balloon was to send a signal to the Americans and also to see how the Americans would react. I thought that last part was interesting because not many of us like know that this is happening. Not people in my, I can't say everybody in my demographic would know that this is happening, but it is interesting to know how they would react to it. I think a lot of people would be panicking, fearful.
And you have
This
to
random
think that
UFO
China,
from
and
China.
China measures time very differently in terms of their expansion as an empire. They measure things in hundreds of years. If you ask them
yeah.
about the French Renaissance, you ask them, well, they're still waiting for it to play out.
What?
So, they're dude, like they are testing the waters, and they don't care about the short game within their lifetimes. It's about China as an empire, the long game. So testing
It
the
is about
waters,
the long-
engaging
yeah,
response,
they are a long game.
absolutely. Having the ability to spy on us
Something they
via
would do.
satellites, via TikTok, technology,
I was gonna say,
via
they got TikTok. Why don't I mean, they're spying on us every day. When
Yeah.
matter of fact,
That's terrifying.
TikTok. So TikTok put. I don't know if you've heard of this thing called Be Real. It's an app where you take a photo of yourself right wherever you are at the time that you're there, right? And you have your friends and family,
okay.
and everybody's supposed to take it around the same time of day. And so then you'll see where everybody is at the same time of day. Well, TikTok added this TikTok Now, where you basically do the same thing. It tells you a time of day to take a picture, and everybody takes a picture of wherever they are, and it takes you
Scary.
the front and back, right camera. So you
That's
take
terrifying.
a picture from the front of what you're seeing, and then take a selfie, basically. And so TikTok now, so they're seeing everything going on everywhere. You piece it together, you get a good AI, piece that together, you're seeing everything going on.
Man, makes Google Street View look like a
Yes,
chump at that point.
Exactly.
Because it's real time. Hey, do this challenge
true.
every day.
Every day.
And
And you're just taking pictures of your surroundings and yourself. It's crazy.
Oh,
All right, bunch of comments
that's
online.
dirty.
It is. So,
Don't even have
Jacqueline
to
Robinson
move
said you have to calculate.
We're giving them the content.
Here we are. We're giving it to them. Jacqueline Robinson says you have to calculate it so that residents aren't harmed from the debris. Alan Carrera says, my biggest concern is why it took so long to hit mainstream media. Should that not have been a big deal right off the bat? People report Chinese lanterns on an hourly basis. So how did this
But
get
during
so far?
but during 45's administration, there were at least 3 incidents like this that went completely off the radar.
And he denies
So
it.
I'm glad that we're talking.
He denies it. But he lies. So.
He denies and he claims a lot of things.
They all
so,
deny it.
It is what it is.
They all lie. Yeah.
Kevin Thaxton, it's the damned if you do scenario. Now China has an idea of our actions in that location of the atmosphere. If there's no maneuver device, it's hard to control.
Yep.
All right. Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
It might be all 3.
Oh, no. It's some
Who knows?
shenanigans.
That's some shenanigans.
Shenanigans
That's
going
some
on.
Shenanigans.
They got some shenanigans going on up in there.
Shenanigans.
There's something going on with them. China's getting some stuff, man. I don't know what they were getting exactly, but apparently went over some nuclear silos too. So, yeah.
And they've gauged the response. That's all valuable information.
Yep, absolutely. All right, let's get to our next one.
Truth, lies, shenanigans.
Gianni, you want to tell us all about what social credit is? What is social credit?
Yes, a little bit more of China. So, in case you haven't known or made aware, China has implemented a social credit system within their society. So, you may be wondering, what is that? Well, it's similar to our credit system, but it gives individuals, businesses, and government entities a credit score based on their trustworthiness. So, it's been considered the most ambitious experiment in digital social control ever undertaken. There has been a lot of skepticism, first of all, mainly coming from the West, Western societies. China citizens with high social scores get special privileges, while those with low scores risk less access to just about everything.
So you're saying
As
it's
a
like
pivot
it's like a system where they're
to the
ranking
US
people, right?
just recently.
You're saying they're ranking people?
Yes, literally.
Oh wow.
Yes, they're ranking people, and some people that are following the rules, so to speak, will have higher access to things or privileges to certain things, and people that don't or have. And it's kind of silly things. Like, it's like if you, not saying jaywalking is silly, but it's something that could be smaller than jaywalking, and they would like lose access or get a lower score.
Oh wow.
So
Lose access to
my
like I was reading like internet and stuff.
So, yes, exactly. Neo. Exactly. They actually implemented this as in small territories throughout China a while ago, but at the time it's nationwide. So everybody in China is using the social credit system. And my question to you guys, do you think the US will copy China with a social credit system?
What do you
And
think,
how
Rob?
would you feel about that?
Well, how would I feel about it? As a Canadian, I would feel scared if the U.S. implemented it, because your bad ideas generally become our bad ideas a few years down the road. So, I wouldn't be a fan of it. It, with the little bit of research that I was doing, it's that they're essentially trying to say that there needs to be a higher level of trust in society, and to nurture that trust that the government is fighting corruption, telecom scams, tax evasion. They're attacking unwanted behavior in society. Um, it's problematic, and it made me think of a Black Mirror episode where people are being ranked that way. But I was relieved to find that China really doesn't have a central algorithm to measure creditworthiness at this point. And it's really low tech, where you've got information gatherers who walk around villages and they write down the residents' good deeds. While I recognize that,
That's horrible.
well, we do enter into a social contract. Society provides a lot of amenities for us, a lot of good things for us, and the social contract that's expected on the other side, there's not a lot expected of us. Just follow the basic rules.
Mhm.
But this is just an extension of the caste system that has existed in China
for years. Centuries.
for millennia, right?
Yeah.
For hundreds of years. There's always been a caste system. You have the elites, you have the laborers, you have the military, you have the administrators. Everyone is compartmentalized. So this is just another way to modernize that idea, in my opinion. And it's another way for those who have to garner more, because anyone who might be on the up, well, we can keep your social standing down. We can remove opportunities from you, like Neil was saying. The internet, even if it's low yield bank loans. If I jaywalk, I would. I'm a douchebag for doing it, but I don't know that it should affect my ability to borrow money from organizations in my country. That's problematic.
I mean, to your question, Gianni,
Right.
I mean, as to whether or not it'll happen here, we're basically already doing it, to be honest with you. It's just, the difference is it's established and enforced by like private companies instead of the government, because you got Yelp, you got Google ratings for businesses. And then for us, for like regular people, it's followers. They're all like indicators of like our social credit worthiness, or how worthy we are. In like places like New York, insurance companies can actually rate you based on your social media now. So they can actually look at your social media and give you like a rating for insurance. So it's already happening here in the US. I think.
Wow.
Yeah, I think the only problem I have with it is that it's the government that's deciding what's socially acceptable, right? And so there's more definite
that's my
punishments, whereas in our system, I mean, what's the ultimate punishment? We get canceled, right?
Yeah.
That's the
It's
punishment.
not a public caning in jail.
Right, exactly. Or we're not going to lose our internet because, I did something,
No.
I could keep my internet. Nobody will care about me in the social world, right? And then on top of that, like in our world, I know we're out of time, but if we find that we're socially unacceptable in the way we do it, then we can find smaller groups or niches of people that find us socially acceptable, right? So it's not like we don't have to have a punishment. I mean, matter of fact, shoot, it's not even a punishment. It's a reward, because now I don't have to deal with the asses and and the idiots out there. Now I can deal with the people I like. So,
but like Johnny was saying, it could be individuals or groups. So if you do find yourself part of a fringe group that identifies, that has
That
a
group
label
can
on
be-
it.
Mhm.
So that label will then be disenfranchised, will be
True.
disadvantaged where the rest of society is. So no, you don't want. Yes,
Ostracized.
there's safety in numbers.
I don't want it in
but-
China, but I don't know here. I'm okay if being ostracized to a group if that's what I need to be, because I don't care about nobody else.
Neo.
If you're going to call me a nerd and put me in a nerd group, I'll take it. I'll own nerd.
Aw,
I'm happy to
nerd
be a nerd.
category.
All right. Is this truth?
Truth,
Lies, shenanigans.
Well, it's about to be our truth, America. So here we go.
Yeah,
Truth.
I'm with you on truth. I'll give you truth.
It's truth.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's all true stuff. I mean, it's happening here, it's happening there, it's happening all over. Some comments online real quick. Jacqueline Robinson, the operative words are if the Communist Party ... Kevin Thaxton says that's Santa. Well, an analog version. Okay. All right. Elaine Carrera says, good point. We're already victims of this, and we've been since social media was introduced. China just took it one step further and made everyone aware of it. All right.
Right.
We're really short on time, so we're gonna go ahead and get this last topic in, but we're gonna make it a really short, quick fire. So just quick comments, guys. All right. So, Florida. Ron DeSantis, am I saying that right? Ron DeSantis.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, that's correct. That's
Ron,
okay.
Ron DeSatan.
Ron DeSantis state. He decided that the government the government telling people to wear masks to save lives is a violation of people's rights. But that the government having teen girls report their menstrual cycle history is all good.
Oh God.
Yep. So Florida state government, the same one that wants to ban teaching AP Black history in schools, also wants to have teen girls report their menstrual history to prove that they're actually girls. And this is because the Satan does not want transgender girls competing in girls' sports. So, start with Gianni. She's the only woman today. Are you okay with having to report to the government when you have your periods? You down for that?
Honestly, no. If you asked me these set of questions on a bad day, I'd probably knock you out. Like, to be honest.
Well, when you're having your period, what? It's a bad day. Is that what you're trying to say? Hey, look, I gotta be explicit. She's trying to be implicit. I'm gonna be explicit for her.
It's gonna turn away.
I mean, I would respond like honestly, I'm not shocked, but I do feel like I'm finally glad that parents are speaking out. Like, not that parents haven't spoken out about it, but I keep seeing articles where parents are actually kind of grouping together and making something big deal about it, because it's like weird. What are you gonna do with that information? And I think it does protect children to know where the information is going. If it's just about the transgenders, there's a different way to kind of like weed that out if that's what their motive is. But no, it's highly offensive. Another motive, another agenda to get into women's bodies in the United States.
Yeah.
Another way to control us.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Rob?
It's
Fun.
just it's a thinly veiled policy for the Florida High School Athletics Association to monitor girls for pregnancy, abortion, or, like you said, trying to weed out transgender girls. When I heard about this, it's dystopian. It's intrusive. It opens Pandora's box yet again on women's rights.
Weird.
And is it a HIPAA violation? Like, what? Really, it makes no sense. And what I know of teenage girls is that their menstrual cycles are developing, they're not regular. So what are they going to do with that information? It's witch hunting. It's scary.
Yeah, it is scary.
Just to be clear, this is a proposal, not a requirement yet, and it's not specifically proposed by the Satan. But
Other states do it.
I would say it was definitely inspired by him and his views. I'll admit I'm one of those people who's on the fence about transgender people competing in gender-specific sports. But with that said, I hate it when people try to solve one problem by creating another problem, like invading on other people's rights. So I'm not feeling this at all. A few comments online. We got Kevin Thaxton. Can we deport Florida?
Not north.
Dr. Rochelle Thompson. Dr. Rochelle Thompson's still on. She says Ron is weird. Ron DeSatan, laugh out loud.
Yes, Reaper vibes.
Jacqueline Robinson. This is a slippery slope. It's only a matter of time before DeSatan and other, she said DeSatan as well, and other men of his ilk will use this information to determine when girls and women are fertile so they can be forced to give birth. It's disgusting.
Right?
You're right.
It's like one step closer to Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
One step closer.
Really, that bothers me in my soul. That's gross.
And Kevin Thaxton responded, birth dearth. Okay.
What?
All right. We're out of time on this one. Is this truth, lies, shenanigans? Florida.
It better
I'm
be
done with Florida.
shenanigans.
Florida has got to go.
It's-
I actually have to go down to Florida like next month, and I'm not even interested. It's shenanigans, man.
Truth
even wanna
and
go.
shenanigans.
Ade Boyega says, "Disgusting to Satan is gonna to Satan. It's not surprising at
point-
all. Offensive for sure, but not surprising."
Florida.
Jose says,
Yeah.
"Blown away. What an invasion!" All right, a lot of heavy topics today. We had great discussions. So let's go ahead and jump into our game.
I always jump with the pow when that's new music. Love it. Like, yeah,
All right.
let's do it.
Today's game is our every February we have Black History Month trivia. So real simple. We'll go around the horn. I don't know the answer to all the questions. So I'm going to play along with you guys.
All right.
Okay.
All right. So you get a point for correct answers, and you get nothing for wrong answers. Person with the most points gets the final thought for the show. And I believe Rob B is our reigning champ.
Oh wow, Robbie won last year.
He did.
This year I'm gonna win. So
Well, I didn't play last year, so we're going to see how this goes. All right.
Bring it, Johnny. Bring it.
All right, we're starting with Gianni Storm. Who was the first African-American senator of the United States? The first African-American senator of the United States. Was it Hiram Revels, Thurgood Marshall, Joseph Rainey, or Frederick Douglass?
ooh, Douglas.
Frederick Douglass? I already know that is incorrect.
Okay, I have a shaky start, but I got us, guys.
We're going to have to work on your Black history. All right. The answer is Hiram Revels, former minister of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Hiram Revels was the first African-American elected to the United States Senate in 1870. He represented the state of Mississippi and was elected as a replacement for Democrat Albert Brown, who vacated when Confederate Mississippi left the Union in 1861. All right. All right, Robbie, you are up next. At which famous New York club did young Lena Horne get her start? Was it A, the Cotton Club, B, Minton's Playhouse, C, Cafe Society, or D, the Apollo Theater?
Cotton Club.
That would have been my guess. Let's see what you got. That is
That's
incorrect.
Incorrect.
All right.
Incorrect.
Name something that. The
All right. The answer is C, Cafe Society. Let me make sure.
Wrong answer.
Actress and singer
Well, thank you
Lena
for
Horne
that,
got her
Neil.
start
Thank
at the famous Cafe Society in Greenwich Village, New York. She gained fame and toured the country as a jazz singer before moving to Hollywood to star in films and become a variety staple. At the March on Washington in 1963, Horne was extremely active in the civil rights movement. She volunteered with the NAACP, SNCC, and the National Council of Negro Women. All right, this is me. Which team was the first professional African-American baseball team? The Birmingham Black Barons, the New York Cuban Giants, the Detroit Stars, or the Kansas City Monarchs?
Wow.
I believe it's either the Detroit Stars or the Kansas City Monarchs. I don't know for sure. I'm going with Detroit Stars. Incorrect. What? The first first African-American baseball team was the New York Cuban Giants.
Wrong answer.
Dang.
In 1885, the New York
That's
Cuban
right.
Giants became the first African-American professional baseball team. However, the organized league structure was not established until 1920 under guidance of Rube Foster. He and other Midwestern team owners joined a coalition that they titled the Negro National League. All right, we're all doing poorly in this one.
We sure are.
These are tough questions, though. Shoot. All right, this is,
Yeah,
by the way,
I'm glad you skimmed the first two, Neo. Wow.
by the way, this is provided by the National Archives Foundation. All right, last round. Which famous jazz band leader pictured here was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom on his 70th birthday? Was it Count Basie? This is for Yanni. Count Basie, King Oliver, Benny Goodman, or Duke
Okay.
Ellington? This is his 70th
Benny Goodman.
birthday. Benny Goodman. You're going with Benny Goodman. Let's see. That is incorrect.
Yes.
I
Duke Ellington.
would have picked Duke Ellington in this one.
Dude,
All right.
yeah.
DC native Duke Ellington was awarded civilians' highest honor on April 29th by President Nixon. On Ellington's 70th birthday, his
Wow.
composition and performance
Huh.
skills allowed him to create innumerable hit songs throughout the Harlem Renaissance and beyond. All right, Robbie, this is your chance.
How did it?
All
Let's
right.
see. You get one right, you might win the whole thing.
Right. I just need one. I just need one.
All right. Who was the first African American actress to win an Academy Award? Was it Hattie McDaniels, Ethel Waters, Lena Horne, or Dorothy Dandridge?
I'm pretty sure that's Hattie.
I believe you're
Dorothy.
correct. We will find out shortly. That is correct, Robbie.
What?
In 1939, Hattie McDaniel was the first African American actress to win an Academy Award. It was the first time
Thank
a black
you,
woman was
Micah.
nominated, and she won Best Supporting Actress for a role as Mammy in Gone with the Wind.
Thank you, Micah, for
Wow.
bringing up those factoids every time he joins us.
Oh man, you got an easy one. All right. Oh, I think I know this one. Okay. I don't know this one. Darn it. All right. Who was the first African American astronaut? Was it Dory Miller? This is for me. May Carroll Jemison. I know the answer. General Roscoe Robinson Jr. or Colonel Guion S. Bluford Jr.
Who is it?
Actually, I think it's not May Carroll Jemison. I was going to say May Carroll Jemison. I think she's the first black woman. So I think it's. I'm going with Bluford, but I don't know. So we're going to see.
Bluford.
I think Jemison was the first black woman. So let's see. Bluford. That is correct. Yes. Yes.
Hey.
All right. After flying combat missions during the Vietnam War, Colonel Guion Bluford became America's first black astronaut in 1979. He made 4 missions with NASA and logged over 688 hours in space. All right. I knew Jemison was the
Wow.
first black woman, but didn't think.
I'm still in the game.
No, you were not. But Jacqueline Robinson says she wasn't allowed to sit with the rest of the cast on Oscar night. That was Hattie McDaniel. All right.
Hmm.
Wow.
This is between me and Robbie. Robbie, we're just going to take this last one and we're going to answer
right,
it
man.
and see who gets the right answer. Who was the first female self-made millionaire in the United States? Was it Diana Ross, Madam C.J. Walker, Annie Malone, or Dorothy Height?
I
I'm gonna
should have
let you
got this
answer.
one.
I'll let you answer first.
Annie Malone.
Annie Malone. And my answer is Madam C.J. Walker.
Madam C.J. Walker.
And I think that is the right answer. Yes. Yes. Madam C.J. Walker, through the success of her hair and beauty products, Madam C.J. Walker became the first
Yeah.
female self-made millionaire in the United States. She invented a line of hair products for African-American women. And by the early 1910s, she established herself as a major philanthropist and figure in Harlem's social, political, as a culture.
Ooh.
Amazing.
Yay! I don't get to play that often, so I don't get to win that often. So, all right.
I know.
Let's get some shout outs in. All right. Johnny, shout out.
Shout out to my little sister Janaya if you're watching. She's 16 and just got a job at Dunkin' Donuts. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
job.
Dunkin' Donuts, huh?
Hey, man. It's a
Robbie?
stepping stone.
Robbie.
Oh, my shout out is to all of the food producers, to all of the moms and dads, the surrogate parents, the caregivers who prepare and provide healthy meals for their children and loved ones. Thank you for every delicious meal that has helped sustain me.
All right.
Thank you.
Love that. My shout out. I'm shouting out the show Ghosts. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It is hilarious. I started watching it this week. It is funny as hell. And looks like our guest has stuck around with us. So I'm going to give her a shout out as well. Dr. Rochelle Thompson, welcome back.
Sorry, I was so into it.
Got anybody you want to shout out?
I shout out to my grandma. Mama, I love you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sticking around, Dr. Thompson. All right. That is officially all the time we have for today's show. I'd like to thank you all for joining us. We hope you learned something, gained a new perspective, or simply had some laughs with us. We will not be recording live next week. We simply can't compete with the Super Bowl. So we're doing a TLS replay of our most listened to Black History Spotlight, which was with the youngest member of the Little Rock Nine, Carlotta Walls Lanier. All of our new episodes and replays are available Tuesdays on Pods Network, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. And you can always check out our video clips, subscribe to YouTube using TLSshow.com. And the winner for our final thought for the show today is amazingly me. All right, it's Black History Month, and we have conservatives in our country fighting to eliminate Black history from the pages of American history because they don't want to deal with white guilt. Just know that Black history is in no way about white guilt. It's about Black pride. For a group of people where that sense of pride has been systematically stripped away for centuries. Black history is about learning from the past, about doing better instead of ignoring it and continuing more of the same hate. Just know we're all beautiful people, regardless of the amount of melanin in your skin, or lack of melanin even. And to put it in perspective, all this hate for melanin is just a fantastic evolutionary trait to protect humans from the awful rays of the sun. And honestly, with global warming, as much as I get sunburned, when I go to the beach, I wish I had some more. So love yourself, people. Love each other. And thank you, Robbie Rock. Thank you, Gianni. Thank you, Dr. Rochelle Thompson, for joining us. We appreciate you. But most importantly, we need to thank you for listening to our shenanigans each and every week. We'll see you next time.